All right, Trav. So this was, I never picked this game as a winnable game. I put it simply, they're going to South Beach. It's been a long season, 2 weeks before the bye.
Yeah.
Patriots don't win in Miami. I didn't think they'd lose this bad.
Yeah.
Colts at home next week, 1 p.m. kickoff, December 1st. Colts are a dome team. They're not that good.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson is still Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Colts bye at Arizona, at Buffalo, home against LA Chargers, home against the Bills. Is there one more win in these last 5 games for the Patriots?
No.
Yeah.
It is over.
Maybe the Colts game, but this team is so checked out. It's the report that Andrew Callahan had where he's like, they're not playing music, they're not happy, but this is a more lighter locker room than I've seen.
Yes.
As in, they're accepting they stink, they're accepting the loss, they accept where they stand at 3-9 on the year. Okay, you have a Colts team that's still like Anthony Richardson's a competitor. Jonathan Taylor runs hard.
Yeah,
this is a
dude.
team that still wants to win games and prove themselves.
Yes.
And they're going to come in and they can match up with your weaknesses of your defense isn't great. And guess what? Your offense doesn't score. So if they just eat up the clock and take Drake Maye off the field, home, last game before the bye, like this Colts team's not great.
Yeah.
But as we saw, like this Patriots team loses to bad teams.
Bro, Anthony Richardson has been more up and down than a roller coaster. But when he's up, one of the constant things or consistent things that has been there when he does play well is that he's comfortable. He's not under duress. He is. I think it does take him longer to process defenses, to go through his reads. But hell, I mean, if he ain't getting home to him, he could take his time and do that. That's what we saw with Tua. Now, Tua gets rid of the ball fast,
Yeah.
and he processes very quickly.
Yeah.
But what I'm speaking to is zero pass rush, okay? So if you can't get to Anthony Richardson and make him uncomfortable, I'm not saying he's not 93 Dan Marino here. He's not going to sit back there and pick you apart.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he can have some success in the air if you're not getting home to him, if you're not making him uncomfortable. By the way, if you get to him, he's big enough to stiff arm you or run your arse over. So that's something that needs to be discussed by Jerod Mayo and crew, who I have zero faith in, to come up schematically with a game plan to make Anthony Richardson uncomfortable. Where I'm going in this game, I think Jonathan Taylor is about to have a field day with the Patriots defense.
Yeah.
This is a guy, he really hasn't had the kind of season that I thought he was going to have. I thought him and Richardson both, as a running unit, were going to be maybe tops in the league and rival that of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I thought that's what we were going to get from this Colts offense this season. Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. Lord knows my fantasy team thought that, and we are reeling because that is not the reality. This week, I think it will be. I think what we should have seen all season from the Colts rushing attack, we'll see against the Patriots. This will be a low-scoring, ugly game. Drake Maye's going to keep you in it. But I think the Colts are going to run the football down the Patriots' faces.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be those two, Taylor and Richardson.
It's also the fact that this Patriots defense, just continues to be absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And once again, just generating no pressures. 6 pressures against Matt Stafford last week, just 7 pressures against Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, they had 2 sacks, but the pressures are what matters. Like the sacks are good.
Yes.
But if you consistently have pressure and continue to move the pocket and disrupt timing of a quarterback, that's your biggest asset.
That's right.
But that pressures mean you're getting there. You may not be finishing, but you're messing up the flow and timing of an offense. That's why pressures to many coaches are more important than sacks.
Yes.
Cool, you got home and you sacked him. Did you run into it? Was it a coverage sack, which is great?
Right.
But that's not continuous. But you'll see defenses with 15, 20 pressures a game.
Yep.
You won't see defenses with 10, let alone 5 sacks a game. But can they at least get to the quarterback? Can they stop the run? This was a game where, go back a week against the Rams. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum did well against the Patriots run D. Didn't do exceptional, but did well.
That's right.
Run game wasn't explosive, but the extension of the run game, like Devin Achan out of the backfield, continued to gash his Patriots team up and down.
Yep.
What's going to happen in the matchup with the Colts? This is a Colts team that has dealt with their blows, caught their L's. Patriots team right before the bye, it's at home.
Yep.
If it was in the Dome, I'd be like, the Colts are going to win it. The only thing I give them is it's outdoors. But let's see what Shane Steichen does. Does he lean on his strengths? Then out of the bye, they're at Arizona. Guess what? Cardinals team winning with defense. Cardinals team running the ball. Setting up Kyler Murray to not be Superman.
Yeah.
But hey, we're going to give you a good run game. We have a good receiver. We'll see how Christian Gonzalez matches up with MHJ. But It's more of out of the bye at Arizona, warm
have a
weather,
good tight end, too.
distractions.
Yeah.
Good Trey McBride.
They're not winning another game. You know that, George.
They're like at Bills, no. Against the Chargers, they play tough. They'll be fighting for a playoff spot.
They're not
seeding.
winning another game.
They'll need to, if they don't win their division, fight for the wild card. They're not going to win their division.
Right.
And then that's a Bills team that could be fighting for the 1 or 2 seed in the AFC. Like that Week 18 game, the only way I would give it is if the top seed was locked, but the Bills had their division crown locked, and they go, you know what, we'll be the 3, it's fine.
Yeah.
No, like them beating the Chiefs puts a lot of things up in the air,
yeah.
and they're not going to be resting their starters.
That's right.
Yeah, it's at home. How checked out is this team? How empty is that stadium going to be?
That's right. Yeah. No, it's a mess. The Colts game is the only shot you have, and I just don't see it. I think they're going to lose that game. I think the Colts are a better team than them. I think the Colts are underachieving this season. Whereas the Patriots are just what they are. Yeah. Does that make sense? So if you're the Colts, this is the kind of game that you sort of, and we've used this phrase before, you sort of get right. Now, they're not good enough, the Colts I'm talking about, to go out and beat the hell out of the Patriots. I don't see that. I don't see the same type of game we just watched against the Dolphins happening with the Colts. They're not that good. That's why I said I could see a tight game, but in the end, I just, especially the way, if I'm right, the Colts are going to out-physical you. They're going to bully you.
Yep.
And send you to the bye week battered and bruised. And your ego's hurt because you've lost all these games, and this team just punched you in the mouth. Jerod Mayo needs to win this Colts game. I mean, it's a must-win for him in the sense that if you can win the Colts game, likely that's going to be your last win of the season. Likely. It sounds like we both agree on that, if you win it. And then also, more importantly, you go into a bye week with some sort of positive vibes.
Some juice.
You beat the Colts. We just beat the Bears a few weeks back. And then we lost to 2 really good, certainly the Rams we think is going to be a playoff team, and the Dolphins could be as well. They're fighting for their wild card.
Yeah.
With 2 elite coaches. No one will argue that.
Yeah.
So, okay. You can kind of, in the bye week, you can have some teachable moments, right? Okay, well, if you get punched in the mouth and you lose to the Colts, what are you saying in that bye week? I mean, that's what I said. A few weeks ago, I gave Jerod Mayo all these props for like, oh, okay, well, his team's not quitting on him. Eberflus and Waldron and those guys, that team's quit. Well, I mean, we just talked about it. You just went through all those games. Bills twice.
Yep.
I mean, out in the desert, Harbaugh. Like, this team can quit on you. There's still time on the clock. If you lose that Colts game, it could happen. You get in the bye week, I don't know what you preach. What the hell do you preach to these guys? I mean, if the Colts run the football down your throat and you lose that game, what are you preaching in the bye? I guarantee you.
It's a checkout.
It's checked out. It's going over their head, in one ear, out the other. Boop, it's gone.
Yeah.
And then you go get drubbed in the desert. Now you got the Bills twice and Harbaugh. This team will quit. They'll lay down. And then maybe Robert Kraft will come to the light.
But it's like, to me, it's not the wins and losses. It's like, can this team at least be close?
Yeah, but
it's
if they quit,
it's
George,
how they're preparing. But if they win, if they win, and then the same, I understand the significance of a win because it keeps the players locked in. I get that.
Yes.
But if you at least are setting up the players for success, if you're taking leadership and command and showing discipline, like if they win and they get blown out the final 4 games, Arizona, LA, Bills twice, then what does that win do? It's water under the bridge at that point.
Yeah.
Play the Colts tough. Can you finish strong? Because as Jerod Mayo said, like everyone putting so much into year one. Like, well, Dan Campbell went 3-13 and won his rookie season as a head coach. Yeah, he won 3 of his last 6 games of the season. He showed that end of season turnaround. So obviously I'm going with direct wins and losses there.
Yeah.
But it's even the fact that he was able to turn something around. This team took a step back against the Dolphins.
Sure.
The coaching staff took a step back against the Rams. As a whole, they took a step back against Miami.
Yeah.
Can you take step forwards and continue to show progress and fight? And if you show something, momentum going into the offseason is worth something. I don't see them grabbing much of it.
No.
Every game is just must win for Jerod Mayo.
No.
Because at this point he has to show, and his coaching staff has to show they're doing something, and there has to be buy-in from the players because they're going to go into this offseason and like there's not a part of where the team takes them serious. And as we've seen of the team starting to relax, showing up for training camp, does that bleed into it? I'm looking way down the road. I'm getting into crazy hypotheticals. Every game is a must show up for Jerod Mayo because you have to prove your case as a head coach. And you have to show outside free agents, outside coaching candidates you want to bring in, that there is stability and there is something good. Because the only thing, just as it is, the only thing the Patriots have to show right now is a quarterback. It's not a head coach.
No, you're right.
It's not ownership. It's not facilities.
Yeah.
It's not a roster.
That's right.
It's not spending.
No.
It's not a winning culture because they haven't been winning since 2019.
Yeah.
All they have is a quarterback going into year 2.
Here's where I disagree with you, though, a little. Well, where you say, well, it's water under the bridge even if they beat the Colts. I disagree. I think that Colts one is more important because right now, Jerod Mayo, and it's a sad standard. Please don't mix up what I'm saying here. It is sad that this is the case, but it is the case nonetheless that right now, this second, Jerod Mayo's calling card is this team. I still have them. This team hasn't quit on me. They're playing hard for me, and I think he's right. You lose that Colts game, and you go into the bye. That's a longer bye now, brother. I mean, because the Colts, all of us agree, that's at least winnable game. You go to the desert, the way the Cardinals are playing, Bills twice, Chargers twice, and you lose those games. If you're competitive because those guys aren't quitting on you, you can live with that. You can stomach that. I think this Colts game is more important than what you're putting on. I'm telling you, if they go out, especially the way I think it could look, if they go out and get physically beat up, George, and lose that game, close or not, but they get bullied and they lose, this is going to be the longest bye week of anyone in that building's lives. I'm telling you. That's when guys will check out. That's when what we talked about earlier in the show. You're making vacation plans. You're doing all, right? Guys are done. When you come back out of the bye, generally, teams out of the bye are better. I think they could be worse if you lose this Colts game. That's where that's the only place I disagree with you. Is I don't think it's every week he's got to. Obviously, he's being evaluated, but I think that Colts game's a must-win for the psyche of this team and for the team to continue to play hard for Jerod Mayo. If they lose that game, I think he could lose them.
So also, if you lose this Colts game, going to the bye, you know what the report should come out going into the bye? Jerod Mayo's taking over play calling of the defense.
Oh, yeah.
Like we watched Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
Offensive-minded, offensive play caller.
You're right.
Matt LaFleur just beat the 49ers. Offensive-minded, offensive play caller. Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay. Now look at Dan Quinn in Washington, right? Like just look at what Robert Saleh was. Again, ownership of the Jets defense.
That's right.
Why? I understand offensive, defensive-minded head coaches, and a coach has to be a delegator and let your coordinators work.
Right.
But some of the most successful head coaches, they still control their side of the ball. Why is there that lack of control from Jerod Mayo on his side of the ball?
That's right.
They lose that Colts game, something has to change. Whereas a head coach, you have to prove yourself the last 5 weeks and correct those mistakes. Don't be a repeat offender. Jerod Mayo said it day one.
He sure did.
He's been a repeat offender by continuing to let this defense make mistakes. And he's a repeat offender not trying to make solutions and correct those mistakes. So we'll see. You know what it is, no matter what, Trav, if they beat the Colts and they get that win?
What?
It's a 4-win team.
Yeah, at best. They ain't winning. I don't think they're a 4-win team. I think this is it, brother. Clarity Mondays.